Let's try to summarize some of the key factors that should be considered before finalizing the compute instances that one may subscribe to from the various cloud providers. Decision to choose specific type of compute depends on a number of factors. The solutions architect should study the business requirements and the technology solution that is under consideration before making the decisions related to selecting the right type of compute instance. If the decision is about multiple workloads, then each workload's needs and requirements should be considered separately before a decision is made on the overall decision. So the choice of the specific type of compute instance that one gets depends on a number of factors. Let's look at some of those scenarios, as each one will influence the decision related to finalizing the compute instances. To start out, a solutions architect should get clarity on the types of workloads that the solution will be running. The workloads could be for AI, ML, analytics applications, containers, Kubernetes workloads, batch processing applications, etc. The specific workloads could necessitate the need for example, for bare metal servers versus containers versus VMs, types of compute instances, and so on. An architect should also assess the compute capacity that may be needed to meet the performance requirements of application workloads. This assessment is done to understand traffic patterns, scalability needs, and CPU power. For example, the need for processing power or memory, or even specialized accelerators such as GPUs, may influence your compute server decisions. This information can help to start the conversation with your cloud provider. Assessing the need for serverless compute is another factor. Going with the serverless option can be a very viable solution, as there are no associated costs for the VMs, etc., and one only pays for the execution time. Understanding the security requirements for the application is another step, which may lead to the creation of a specific compute architecture for the cloud system. This could lead to getting and hosting instances with those security requirements in mind. Knowing your budget and the limits of your costs is another factor that can influence your compute decisions. Besides knowing the compute power that may be needed for your production, you may also need compute instances for your development and testing lifecycle. Therefore, it's important to think and plan for those scenarios as well. The level of governance on compute servers that one may require can be another factor in the selection of the specific compute instances. This has to do with the level of control and administration tasks that one wants to perform on the servers. Organizations, for example, may want to maintain control on the servers themselves to make configuration, etc. Others may decide to completely outsource that to the cloud providers. One also needs to assess the geographical requirements of one's computing environment, as that may influence decisions related to where customers can reach the site easily, establishing availability zones, etc. Based on these requirements, estimating the number of required servers that one may need for different application workloads is also quite important, as that will influence the final compute architecture of the solution. Again, these are some of the criteria that the solutions architecture work on with the cloud provider. The specific criteria for the applications may be different from application to application, and again, those things should be discussed with the cloud provider. Most cloud providers provide instance configurations which are already optimized for certain types of workloads. The solutions architect, therefore, should understand the types of workloads before making a selection. For example, AWS offers pre-configured instances which are compute optimized, memory optimized, accelerated computing optimized, with special hardware accelerators and so on. So here are some examples of those compute configurations. We see Amazon's Elastic Compute Cloud, or EC2 instance, one of the most famous types of compute instances. And then AWS Lambda is a serverless compute configuration. And then there are other compute instances. For example, one is specialized for container service, another one for running the Kubernetes service, and so forth. So the specific compute server that one selects, again, should depend on either these criteria or additional criteria that the solutions architect identifies during their planning session.